On the day of the enthronement of the Holy Sons of Taishan, Yishin could be seen ridiculing the decisions made by one of the elders in the enthronement hall. He was so desperately fighting for the hand of the girl he loves as she was being given away to the evil Gu Zhang. In that moment, as Yishin was arguing with the elders, Gu Zhang was thinking about how he suddenly woke up and found himself in a cliché situation that you'd only read in novels. And that wasn't the only thing that was bothering him, as he also transmigrated with the system in front of him. After a while, Gu Zhang decided that since he was reborn as a villain, he'll play the role of a villain. As Yishin continued to argue, he challenged one of the disciples of Taishan to a duel. And supposedly being the hero of the story, he was able to win. But after he won, he got confident in his abilities, which was a huge mistake. Gu Zhang then confronted him, and with a mere release of his aura, he brought Yishin to his knees right in front of the woman he loves. After trying to put up a fight, his face was planted even further underground. His cultivation was then blocked, and he was locked in a dungeon with his woman being taken away from him. Back in Gu Zhang's room, his servant returns and reports to him the whole situation of the Taishuan land, and that they are relying on him before disappearing again. Gu Zhang then receives a reward for completing the system's trial and humiliating Yishin. He then uses rewards to break through his current cultivation realm and reach the Prince realm. In the dungeon, Yishin was contemplating about what had happened and decided he wanted to take revenge on Gu Zhang. A spirit appeared before him, which was none other than his master. She told him that he was going about things the wrong way, but he didn't listen to her at all, and decided to spread false rumors to cause chaos and escape without knowing that he was being watched by Gu Zhang's servant. Back at Gu Zhang's room, the saintess that Yishin was so deeply in love with was giving herself up to Gu Zhang after seeing how powerful he is. She then told him about her secret, which caused Yishin's luck to plummet by over 200 points, which was exactly what Gu Zhang was after. He then left and went to the dungeon where Yishin was being held captive to get some answers from him. He wanted to persuade his master to leave Yishin and join him in return for restoring her physical body. Yishin, being stupid, fell for all of Gu Zhang's taunts, which made the system increase Gu Zhang's destiny value. The spirit refused Gu Zhang's offer, but before leaving he gave her a cultivation pill as a gift, which caused a rift between the spirit and Yishin. After returning to his room, Gu Zhang explained to his servant that he didn't kill Yishin because he was the key to them finding the ultimate weapon that they came down to the lower realm in search of, which was the 8th desolate demon halberd. His servant then disappeared after receiving orders to watch Yishin, and Gu Zhang then went into seclusion to cultivate for 3 days. 3 days later, one of the 3 great masters showed up for a visit to Taishuan Holy Land and demanded that they handed over their spirit vein and demote themselves to a lower level, to which they refused. Since Taishuan didn't have an elder, they seemed like easy targets, and after the elder heard about what had happened between the saintess and Gu Zhang, he started to take a defensive stance on the situation, but still refused to hand over the spiritual vein. Right as they were about to be attacked, Gu Zhang's aura bursted out, which alerted everyone. At Gu Zhang's room, he had just woken up from his cultivation after 3 days and was ready to meet the guests outside that he had anticipated to receive. As the saintess was heading towards Gu Zhang's room, she was stopped by Yishin after he had escaped the dungeon. He then grabbed her hand and told her to come with him, but got rejected as she decided to stay and defend her sect, which confused Yishin as he thought she was under pressure by Gu Zhang. Right at that moment, the saintess sensed that Gu Zhang was coming and chose to get her point through to Yishin by stabbing him, which he then left. Gu Zhang appeared and praised the saintess for what she did, and they ascended to the sky with the saintess in his arms to greet the masters that was causing trouble for the Taishuan Holy Land. After the masters saw how young Gu Zhang was, they underestimated him, and so the first one to fight him got his arm severely damaged. But even after such display of strength, they still underestimated him and tried to confine him with one of their great treasures, but failed. And with a single swipe of Gu Zhang's finger, everyone was annihilated in a matter of seconds, leaving only the three masters alive and declaring himself an immortal one from the upper realm. After everything that had happened, and the three masters were humiliated, news started to spread, and in half a month later, in the suburbs, Yi Shen killed a few people that were talking about how he was humiliated by Guzhang, and swore to return to Taishuan to take his revenge. Back in Taishuan Holy Land, Guzhang was being praised by everyone, even the three masters that wanted to kill him for how powerful he was. And while Guzhang and the Saintess was talking, Guzhang received an invitation from the third royal prince of the great Xie dynasty to attend the meeting. 3 days later, in the central heavenly city, Lin Tian, a student, was being laughed at for being trash and sleeping in class. But he wasn't the Lin Tian that they knew, as he was the heaven destroyer divine king who had just reincarnated. Guzhang, who came searching for the fated one, was notified by the system that one has been detected, and headed straight for the central heavenly city. Before arriving, he noticed that the Saintess's luck had increased a lot, and asked her about the structure of Zhengzhao, where the central heavenly city was located. After the elder of the city had gathered everyone, news started to spread that the ancestor of the Lin family was coming back. After arriving in the city, Guzhang was greeted by the officials, and he then told his servant Lin Ming, who the people were referring to as their ancestors, to go explore the city, since it's been a long time since he was there, but he declined the offer. Guzhang then decided to go take a tour of the city with the Saintess, after holding her hand and bringing her with him. But since they weren't familiar with the city, they were assigned a guide, which was Lin Tian, or otherwise the Heaven Destroyer Divine King's sister. Right when they were about to leave, Lin Tian showed up because of his infatuation with his sister, but discovered that the Saintess, who was Guzhang's woman, was the perfect cure for his heart disease, and wanted her for himself. But he had no idea that Guzhang was alerted by his presence, and saved in the time of looking for him by falling for Guzhang's bait, which was the Saintess, as he was just doing what any other villain would do, as he was enjoying the role that he was given by the system. As Lin Tian's sister was guiding Guzhang, she told him about her brother and how he was publicly known by everyone as trash. But his behavior suddenly changed and he made a breakthrough in his cultivation, which piqued Guzhang's curiosity. He then told her that he was probably handed down a secret art to make him change that much overnight, which made her suspicious of her brother, which made Guzhang's job of harvesting the fated one's luck a lot easier. Later that night, Lady Lin, who was the guide, came to Guzhang's room to deliver some pastries that she made for him, but was greeted by the Saintess, which collected it on behalf of Guzhang, as she was jealous that Lady Lin had fallen for the man that she was trying to gain favor with. Upon Lady Lin's return, she came across her brother, which questioned her where she was coming from. After learning that she had fallen for Guzhang, his infatuation with her couldn't allow it, and he got upset, but disappeared after failing to convince his sister that Guzhang was a bad person. Right after disappearing, Lady Lin thought of how his brother was acting and remembered what Guzhang had told her, which made her doubt her brother even further. After losing his sisters to Guzhang, Lin Tian decided that he needed to kill Guzhang for his plans to go smoothly. And so, he decided to use some cultivation technique that has a really long name to kill Guzhang. After releasing the curse, Lin Tian thought there was no way for Guzhang to survive. But Guzhang used his primordial spirit and easily crushed the core of the curse, which caused it to rebound on Lin Tian, crippling him. After what had happened, everyone was on the search for the one who had performed the curse. He had no other choice but to play dead in order to not be found out after his sister came looking for him. He was then discovered, and like he had planned, everyone believed that he had died, and the news was reported to Guzhang. But he already knew that Lin Tian was playing dead since his luck had increased and Lin Tian was still listed in the system as a fated one. He then decided to let the matter pass by not punishing the Lin family, and told them not to cremate his body as he planned on harvesting all of Lin Tian's luck. After the meeting was over, Guzhang asked Lady Lin to accompany him for a walk. In a restaurant, a group of cultivators were talking about Guzhang and what had happened between him and Yishen. But they were all silenced by the appearance of Guzhang, with both the Saintess and Lady Lin by his side. After they had entered, Guzhang decided to go somewhere where he could get a good view of the entire central heavenly city. And there he was asked by Lady Lin how he viewed cultivation, to which he responded that he saw it as a simple struggle of the mortal world. He then invited her to the upper realm and even told her that her brother had been possessed, which was all a part of his plan to gain the favor of Lady Lin and destroy what little bond she had left with her brother, to harvest whatever luck he had left. While he was talking with Lady Lin, he had received a report from one of the workers at the restaurant that a few young disciples wanted to greet him, which he didn't refuse. After Lady Lin saw how many beautiful saintesses had appeared and lowered their head before Guzhang, and that he wasn't fazed by their beauty at all, she thought about how Guzhang treated her differently compared to other girls, and her feelings for him became deeper without knowing that she was just another source to increase Guzhang's luck value. And that brings us to the end of the first part of this manhwa. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.